Hello, I'm Karen Joyce Lowe, a software test engineer on the Ancestry Hints team. I'm here today to talk to you about working with Ancestry Hints. I'll just share my screen. I first want to talk with you about what exactly is an Ancestry Hint. Our Ancestry Hints are recommendations that guide you to make new discoveries about the people in your tree. Ancestry hints come to us from two main sources. They may be historical records that our Ancestry Hints algorithms believe best match the people in your tree, or even records that other members researching the same people have found to be a match. The second main source of Ancestry Hints are the photos, the family stories, and the family trees generously made public by other Ancestry users. When we are working with Ancestry Hints, I want to talk to you about evaluating them. We want to be sure we're sharing the real story with ourselves, with our family members, with our friends, and anyone who is going to be looking at our ancestry tree. When we're reviewing these recommendations, we want to ask, does the information actually match the person in my tree? Or could it match someone else with a similar name? We want to think about the person providing the information, when it was provided, and did that person have the correct facts about our family member? Let's take a look. On the Ancestry homepage, we can see a family tree and we can jump directly to the people in that tree who have hints, or let's just take a look at this little tree I've made for us. It's a very small tree with only 3 people. I've put in the most minimal information about my parents, but many of us are lucky with just a little bit of information. These ancestry hints start to appear on our tree persons. We can see the persons who have hints are the ones with the green leaf on the corner of their name. But let's take a look at a profile page for James Lowe. As you can see, we have just the name and the death date. And when we head over to his profile page, immediately I see if there's a vital fact, a birth, a marriage, a death missing for one of the people in my tree. I may see a recommendation that we have ancestry hints that can provide the missing information in our tree. In this case, a birth record. Let's take a look by clicking on hints. Here I see in this sidebar all of the ancestry hints that might provide this missing birth information, as well as lots of other valuable information. I am lucky to be able to choose from burial information, death certificate, census. Let's take a look at this VA death file. I see on the side of these hints these colored badges that say that the information in the hint might be new, like the birth. It could match what's already in my tree, or it could be different. That's the case when I want to do the most evaluation to avoid adding mistakes and moving away from the real story that I'm looking to find. I can immediately ignore a hint that doesn't interest me or that I feel is incorrect, or I can choose to review and see what I might find. Let's review this VA file. As the hint loads, I see all of the information in the hint. It tells me that James Lowe served in the Army in the 1950s. I can toggle the switch, compare details, and that shows me what I already have in my tree. And again, those colored badges that show me the name is different. I'm okay with that here. We're just missing a middle name. Here's something new, that birth date that I'm looking for. And the death date is a little different. It looks like it's more complete. I can choose whether I want to save this information to my tree. I can immediately say, no, don't show me this again. I can put off the decision till later with a maybe, but this looks good to me. I do want to save it. I'm going to click yes. Again, I see the information in the record on the left and the information I already have in my tree on the right. Each fact that I want to add to my tree, I want to check this checkbox next to the fact. I'd be happy to save this military information. And here I see I can edit it. I could change the date, which I certainly have no need to do, or the place I don't really know. But I remember that previous screen said Army, so I'm just going to remind myself. Here on the death, it's different than what I have in my tree, and it's more complete. I want to save this information to my tree, so I'm going to check death. I'm going to leave it just as it is. Here I see the family members that are in my tree. There's no family members on this VA file. I'm done evaluating it. I want to save it to my tree, so I'm going to click that Save to Tree button. we can see that it's going to change some facts on my tree immediately. I've got the birth date here and a line showing me that that came from this VA file. I've got death has been updated again. It has the source of the VA file we just looked at, and I've got a new box that tells me about marriage records. But let's stick with the hints with the birth information for a minute more. We see we can look at burial. We've got some death certificate that gives us some place information. That looks great. Let's take a look at this family census. This name is weird. It's different. It's in a place I don't really recognize from family stories. I want to review that and see if it matches James Lowe. My James Lowe, my father. So this name looks weird, but I recognize these first names. These are the names of my grandparents, a great uncle, my Aunt Joyce, and my father. I do want to save this to my tree, but what is the deal with this name spelling? Here's a link to the image of the census file itself. An important part of evaluating is looking at the original record. Let's look at the picture and see what we find. When we look at this family record, we're highlighting the family, and look at this. It looks like the person who indexed this record went with one spelling. I think this is not a new name for my family. I think this is just a difference of opinion of this handwriting, and that it is actually Lowe, just the way we've been spelling it for a few generations. I'm going to close back out of this image, and I'm going to proceed. I do want to save it. I'm not going to grab that name. It's incorrect. I'd like to get this birth information, but it's taking away the more specific information that I have. I'm actually going to grab what was there and edit it back into that date file. Now I've got a place of birth as well, Tennessee, and the fact that the family resided in Morgan County in 1940. The last hint we looked at just had James Lowe, but this one has other family members. So instead of save to tree, I see next. When I move to the next page, this is step 3 in our evaluation, add people. I want to add everyone. This is my grandfather. The name is wrong. I'm going to click the pencil to edit it and just change that to Lowe. I'm going to grab these other people, and were we not in class, I would change their names as well. But for now, I'm picking up birth date and place for my grandparents, the fact that they were in Petrus in Morgan County in 35, and again in 1940. Here's my Aunt Joyce. I'm saving all of them to my tree. So far, we've looked at the initial step of looking at a hint, choosing yes, no, maybe, do I want this in my tree? We've seen the new, same, different badges where we're adding new information to our tree, and we've done some editing as we've saved it. If I've got enough birth hints on my tree now, maybe I'll just flip to the hints tab itself and see what all is available, the full list of hints. All right, here we go. I can see some stories that folks have added to the tree and photos. This looks like a gravestone photo. I'm going to just click save here without it even doing any more evaluation. Here's a photo of a boy, it looks like. Let's take a look. And I click on the photo, and here it comes. That's an adorable picture, and I actually recognize this from family albums. That is, in fact, my father, so I'm going to save it to the tree. I see that 10 other people have done the same thing. They've decided that this photo belongs with my tree person. I'd like to talk about times when we're not exactly sure if the information from the hint looks right, but we're not sure if it is exactly the match. Let's take a look at this find a grave hint. This is going to contain information about his burial and the cemetery where he's born. It looks like we've got some family links in here too for parents and spouses. If we save that to our tree, we can select the facts that we want to save. I'm going to save the name. It's a great match. The birth is getting even more complete here. We've gone from just Tennessee to Norma in Tennessee. And here's the death place. I want to keep that as well. Let's move on to the relatives in this hint. I'm going to save everyone. My grandpa, grab his name. Here's a more complete birth date. Grandma Bertie. Oh, here, look at this. Remember, I didn't change her name. I'm going to correct that here. Now, if I'm not certain about some of this information, like her birth, maybe I don't know if I can trust that this is accurate or not, I can click to save it, and I can save it as an alternate in the tree. That means I'm preserving the original information as the preferred fact, but I'm adding another possibility, another working idea that her birth date might be what I already have, or it might be what's here in the record. So now we've got two options for her. I can review those at another time, and I can leave that alternate working idea for months or years before more information comes and I choose which is the correct fact for her. Let's add another family member as well. I'm not going to click this name. It's different, and it's different because she was buried as Mrs. Lowe. She was born as Miss Groomer. So I'm going to keep that information for her. I am going to grab this death information. It's more complete. I actually know that this is accurate. We've got the burial place, saving that to her tree. Let's pop over to another tree person, to my grandfather, and talk about matching records. Here we have some marriage records. We haven't saved, we've got his birth and death, but we haven't saved any marriage information yet. So let's take a look at what we've got. Here's a marriage, and let's see if this matches my grandpa and grandma. All right, here we've got a marriage and another name, Pearl Ray. So is that my grandma? Let's move further in and get some more details and think about this. We've got the date of the marriage, and we're going on to save the next people in the tree. We can decide here, is this a new person or maybe not? Is it, in fact, my grandma? Yeah, I'm going to say no. I remember she died in 1975. This marriage is from 1980. This is another spouse. So I'm not going to match Pearl to Bertie. I'm going to say not a match. Add her as a new person. We've got her birth and the date of the marriage. So there we go in our tree. Now, we've looked at saving records to our tree, choosing to review them to say, yes, no, maybe this is the person in my tree. We've seen these badges for information that's new, that matches, or is different. We've talked about editing the information as we're saving it to our tree, choosing the preferred life fact, or setting up an alternate in case we have multiple working ideas about our family members. We've saved relatives to our tree, and we've looked at matching them, whether a relative matches the person in our tree or needs to be someone new, like here with multiple spouses for the same man. Once we've reviewed a number of hints in a working session, we can just decide whether we're going to continue to review these hints that were selected for marriage so that we can review and evaluate more information about Harvey's marriage here. We can flip to the hints tab and see what's available to us that other members have saved. Photos and perhaps stories. We've got some news articles saved as photos, and we want to decide where to go from here. So we can continue with the marriage. We can flip over to the full list of hints on the hints tab. We could switch back to the facts tab and review what we've got so far. Or we can decide that it's time to wrap it up. We've done some good work. We've added a number of people to the tree, evaluated hints. I think we've done some good work. When we are working with hints, again, we've talked about that evaluation process to get the real story. These ancestry hints are recommendations, and as you can see by the hints that keep popping up in my tree, these questions that we're answering, they lead to family discoveries. They lead to more information about our tree people, more opportunities to see what other folks are done to save info to their tree. We're all extremely curious about our families. Thank you for taking some time with me today to learn more about Ancestry Hints.